Welcome back, my crafty friends. Today we are going to work on day 5 of the Spellbinders Craftoween box for 2025. This is the front of the card, and the inside is a spider. It's creeping it real. So this piece here is the top piece, which is the brown. This piece here is the second layer, which is the black, and then this piece here is the whites of their eyes. So it goes first, second, third. These two are the same size. This one's a little bit smaller. And then this part of each of the legs kind of lines up with the sides of the biggest oval. You then have the hat, and then this piece here is the little strip that goes along the top part of the hat. So I have cut out several again, and I will work with you to put one of them together, and then I will put the rest of them together off camera. So I'm going to start with the hat. I'm going to do, I cut some out in a darker purple, a lighter purple, an orange, and then I did the band in a black. So I'm going to do one of the purple ones here with a black band. Each one of them will be a little bit different. That'll be the only thing that's kind of different about them. I'm going to use my reverse tweezers to hold it, to put the glue in. Sorry, my light's in the way there. And there is a little bit of an indentation there on the hat, you can kind of see. And that's where this will line up, is in that indented part. So you can kind of see there. Kind of fits right in between that indentation, and it lines up to the side, so even if you don't get it on the indentation or you can't see the indentation, you should be able to line it up as close as you can to the sides there. Okay, now we're going to work on the spider. So I need one of each of these pieces, and then I need 2 legs, but I want them going in opposite directions. I don't want like this. Those are both the same, and you can kind of tell they're the same because if I turned it over, you'd see the back of it and you would realize that it's not impressed on the side, it's more impressed in the center. So that's not the second one we want. So we would want these two here because you can see that those two are different. So there's our 2 legs. And we are going to start with our black and white piece. I'm going to put the glue on the back of the black because there's holes in the black, so it will help me to line it up better here. You can either put the legs down first or put the ovals down first onto the brown. It doesn't really matter. There's going to be some dimension to the spider just because there's so many layers, and then the ovals with the black and the white, you can kind of line up, you know, all the way over to one side if you wanted the eyes to kind of go that way. If you want the eyes to look the other way, line them up that way. If you want them to go more up towards the top or towards the bottom, line it up, you know, that way. You have a little bit of control with the eyes and where you put them. I've made one already, and they're sort of centered. They're a little bit off-centered, but that was the first one that I made. So I'm going to go ahead, and again, I'm going to use my reverse tweezers, and I'm going to put the glue on the back of the brown because it's the one with the holes. So it's easier for me to put the glue all over the brown. There's going to be parts of the brown that I don't need the glue on, but this gives it to me in the areas I need it and not in the areas I don't, as far as where the black is going to be. So I'm going to do this one a little bit more with the eyes to the top here. Basically, your only concern is that you have the black in each of the eyes. If you go too far one way or too high or too low, you may not have that black lined up. So, but you can see how the white and the black layer is just a little bit smaller than the brown, so you don't have to line it up perfectly, and like I said, it does give you that wiggle room to be able to get the eyes to go the direction you want the eyes to go. Then the legs, if you wanted to, you could put the legs on the outside. Kind of, I'm gonna lay them down here. You could put the legs on the outside like this if you wanted to, because the legs are nice enough that you could do that. Because of the way they cut, they don't look bad if you do them this way. And it kind of frames out the face a little bit. I did not do that with the first one, and the picture shows it being in the background, so that's the way I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to pick this up, make sure that it is on the good side, or the side that has the depressed on the edge and not on the back side, because you want to glue on the front. And you only want glue on the little backward C on this leg part. And then you're just going to glue it down on here. You can take them in as far as you want, leave them out a little bit, up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to put this block on there for just a little bit while I put glue on this one. And then I'm going to pick this guy up again, and I'm going to just glue. I'm going to turn around and make sure I kind of have them both in the same area. And then I'm just going to put that down on there and let that sit for just a minute. And then if you wanted to do a little distressing of the hat, you could. You could also use a little white gel pen. This one is a jelly roll. I'm going to use a blank there. And you could take and just do a little line here and a couple of spots to give it a little bit of highlighting. And you can also do that on the spider if you wanted. I'm going to glue the very bottom of the hat, just a little bit of glue on the very bottom of the hat. And then I'm going to stick that down on top of the spider. And you can stick it down wherever you'd like to on top of that spider. Got a little glue out there. It will dry clear, so I'm not too terribly worried about it, but there is our first spider. And I am going to finish gluing the rest of them off camera, and then we'll come back and make a little card. So I put 4 additional ones together. This one I did with the legs on the outside just so that you could see what they were like. I am going to use the white pen, the white gel pen, to give them a little bit of highlighting. I did use the distressing, the vintage photo distressing as well to distress the hats of some of them. So I'm just going to put a little line on some of them here just so that and you don't have to do this. I mean, it's strictly up to you if you want to or not. It just adds a little bit of texture. I don't know if I'm adding it in the right spot or not, but you do you, and don't worry about what other people say about it. I have this stamp set from Stampin' Up. I don't have a clue what the name of it is though. It's from 2004. And it has this spider web. It came with some spiders and some other things as well, but I'm just going to use the spider web, and I am going to use Versamark. Versamark. I have the Dazzle. It's got a little shine to it. I'm going to use the Zing embossing powder. That's American Crafts in silver. I don't know if it says metallic finish there. And then I just have a piece of copy paper that I fold in half that I use to catch the extra. So I'm going to start with the Versamark Dazzle, and I'm going to do it on black paper. And with these stamps, you get one shot, or at least I do, because I can't line it back up. They made the little tool that you could use to line it back up, but I'm not any good at that. So I'm just going to hover over and then drop. Hopefully it's kind of straight. I will straighten it up once I get it done and the embossing powder on it. That made a pretty good impression. You can kind of see it there, I think. Yeah. Alright, so now I'm going to set that to the side, and I'll clean that in a minute. get my paper out here. And I did not do this with an anti-static powder first, because I don't, this particular one, I don't really care if some of the silver gets in other areas or not, because I'm just looking for the shine really. So I'm going to take this off camera and heat it up. So here it is with it melted. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm going to get my trimmer out here. And I want to trim this down to 4. So I trimmed off some on that side. I'm going to turn it around here and trim off the rest of this side. And I'm going to do the same thing this way. I'm going to trim off just a little bit this way, and then we'll see what I need to trim off the other way, if anything. So I went at 4 by 5 1/4. And that is what this one wound up being, just by trimming the top off. So I still have a little bit of an edge where the cobweb doesn't touch, or the spiderweb doesn't touch the sides, but it's not as much as it was. I have 2 different card bases here, and we'll decide which card base we want to use, if we want to use the orange or the black. But first we're going to work on the spider. So I'm going to use some of this twine here, this baker's twine, and some double-sided tape. And I'm just going to take a piece of the double-sided tape and tape it to the twine on the back of the spider. And then I'm going to cut this twine. And then I'm going to put another piece down to keep it a little straighter. So I'll put another piece down to keep it a little straighter, so that when I stick him on here, he will, it will stay on there. I'm going to then take this twine and do the same thing on the back side. I'm going to put the tape, I'm going to tape my twine down on the back side with some of this tape. And I have way too much twine back here, so I'm going to go ahead and just chop some off, because I don't need that much back here. So now I have a spider that kind of floats around. I'm going to tack him down just a little bit because of his backside and the way his backside is. I'll probably just use the tape that I have on here to do that with. If I wanted to leave him flinging around, what you could do is cut out another piece of the brown and another hat and stick it on the back, which I have some more of both of those, so I may do that with another one that I put down a little bit lower. So I'm going to chop that again, and let's see, I think maybe this time we're going to go with this one. And I'm just going to tape that down. And I'm going to fold over that little piece that I have there that is too much. So I don't think I need to do it with the, I did not mean to hit the camera, sorry there. I don't think I need to do it with the legs, because I think the legs will be fine for both of them, both sides, but you could put another set of legs on there if you wanted to. But I am going to put another set of eyes. That way, no matter which side he's on, you'll be able to see his eyes. And then the hat, I'm going to do another one of the hats as well. So I'm going to try to line the hat up as close as I can, which it's got a little bit different angle because it's taller on one side than it is on the other. But I'm just going to do my best to line it up. And then I may trim it off so that you can't see it. But I think it'll be okay. I don't think it'll be too obvious. But now we have a spider that we can put on here and let him kind of swing back and forth. So I'm going to put him a little lower than the other one. And I'm going to use another piece of tape here and tape it down, cut that extra off. So now we have one that kind of flings back and forth. Oops, sorry, flings back and forth. And he will fling off the card, but once we get him on a card base, he's not going to fling over the card. So, all right. So I'm going to use the orange card base to stick it down on. I will still do a white on the inside. I'm going to take both pieces of the release paper off the back of the tape. You could pop this up if you wanted to. Since it's only those two little pieces of string, it's not going to make that big of a difference. I'm just going to make sure I put a lot of glue around them. And make sure that my little spider there doesn't sail around to the back while we're putting this down. Keep him pulled. I feel like that's not even. Okay, so now it's on a card base, and he still flings around a little bit. His legs hang off just a little bit, so you could glue them down if you were afraid they were going to get caught on anything. I am now going to grab a piece of white paper and the sentiments that came with. There's Creepin' It Real here. We're going to use that one. We could have done it directly on here and done that silver if we wanted to, but I'm going to do it on white. Get my... I just need a scrap piece of white. I'm going to stick it down here in the corner and then stick the Creepin' It Real on here. I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black for this one as I make a mess all over the place. Ooh, that turned out good the first try. And I'm going to get my scrapbook.com chamois out here and get the place that I messed it up on there so I don't get it on anything else. And I'm also going to go ahead and wipe all this down. I wiped the spider web off earlier and apparently had a lot left on there. Alright, so let's put this away. I need to keep it out of the plastic because I make it so noisy every time I use it. Alright, so there's that. I am now going to get my tagged out, or my labels here that I've used multiple times now, and I'm going to figure out which one I want to use. I think I like this one if it'll fit. Yep, I think I'm going to use that one. Okay, so I cut this out and it says Creepin' It Real. I'm going to ink it up on the edges a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of the Dusty Concord Distress Ink and the Carved Pumpkin Distress Ink. And I just have these two sponge daubers here that I'm going to use. So let me put it on my finger and just tap it on there a little bit. And then just get it around the edges here. So there's the purple, and now I'm going to do orange. Move it out of the way there so it doesn't get, so I don't get purple on there. Alright, so there's that one out. Because my card base is orange, it'll kind of help it blend in a little bit. I did not put anything else on there yet. I'm just using what is on there right now. We'll see how far I can get with what's just on the sponge dauber. I think I'm going to have to put something just a little bit more on there. Alright, I think that's all I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to do it all the way down the sides. Move this off to the side. And as with the other ones, I'm going to just put glue around the edges, not in the center. And it is just a light glue. You can kind of see it on there. Just a little bit. We'll come back and put that sentiment on there. Just trying to keep about the same amount of edge all the way around before I push it down, because once you push it down, the glue does stick better and it's harder to get it up. It'll start to rip the paper down below. Alright, and so then here is my Creepin' It reel. And do I want to pop that up? I think I'm gonna pop that up. So I have my Derice foam squares here, or Derice, whatever, however you say them. I'm not going to worry about putting anything on those. With the way the spiders flop around, that sinking down in the center is not going to be a huge issue. So there is that. And then I think the card needs a little something. So I'm going to use my Nuvo crystal drops just to add a little bit of dimension. I'm going to, on a scrap piece here, make sure it comes out okay. And then I'm just going to add some little dots. Add as many or as few as you want. You can add them to the eyes if you want. You can add them wherever. They look really, really blue right now because they are on that black. They will not stay blue. They will dry more clear, but you'll be able to see the dimension that they have. And I will tell you, I was a little concerned there at first because they weren't coming out with much of a dimension. They were coming out more pointy, but do you see how they have just kind of flattened out but not spread? They've just kind of made a perfect little circle. So there is the card. Let me get this all cleaned up and then we're going to come back and make a box for some Tic Tacs. I'll be right back. Okay, so we are going to work on a box now. This box will fit a thing of Tic Tacs that I got from the Dollar Tree, or the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the regular ones. I'm sure it'll fit the pumpkins and all the other ones too, but it fits the regular peanut butter cup. So you need a piece that is 3 1/4 by 6, and we are going to start on the 6-inch side. We're going to score at 3 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/2, and then 5 1/2. And then we're going to turn the card and we're going to score at the 3-inch side. So that's all you're going to need the scoreboard for. I'll put that to the side. And then I'm going to go ahead and burnish all of my folds before I cut. So I'm going to burnish this one down. It's a little crooked. See if I can straighten that up a little bit. There we go. And one last one this way. And then this one. So now we are going to cut all of these lines up to that fold. And I'm going to cut a little bit of an angle as I cut them up. That just makes it go together a little bit easier. We don't have to worry about if we're not perfectly straight on the line, that kind of thing. In addition to the big piece, I have some purple pieces over there off to the side. I've got two that are 1 7/8 by 2 7/8, and those are going to go on these pieces here. And then I have a long piece that is 5/8 by 7 3/4, and that will wrap around the entire box, giving the box a little bit more stability. I'll show you that in just a second. So now you have a box that's going to kind of fold up like this. So I'm going to start by putting glue on my shorter side here. So I'm going to get my glue press out here, and I'm going to lay some glue down here. And then I'm going to lay it flat. I'm going to bring that other piece over to meet it, and then I'm going to use my bone folder to burnish it so that the glue adheres. So now I'm going to fold these two pieces in. I'm going to fold this big piece in first so that we have a flat bottom. Then I'm going to glue, and you could cut this extra one off here if you wanted to completely, but you can also glue it down. It's not going to matter. And then I'm going to glue this one. And I'm going to push these down, and then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this flap. And then I'm going to stand the box up, use my bone folder to go down in there and just rub it back and forth to make sure that glue is adhering. So now I have a box that is glued. If you wanted to add a little something to the purple, you could, like if you wanted to do the drag marks on it, or if you wanted to add some of the orange or something to add a little bit more decoration. We're just going to keep this one simple, just so that I don't keep you on it all night. And I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do that again because the box isn't solid. It's kind of hard to get pressure on it. So I would recommend a little bit heavier cardstock. I would not necessarily use, if you wanted it to actually withstand anything, the Paper Studio black paper. I don't know what the GSM is on it, but it just seems very flimsy, and that's, I believe, what this black paper is. This was just a scrap. All right, so now this piece is going to wrap all the way around. You can get your scoreboard out if you want, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to just glue all the way around. Not going to glue all the way up to the end because I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to have to cut any off, so I'm going to just stick it on here, kind of finger squeeze it, and I'm going to fold it over. You would get crisper lines if you put it in the bone folder or put it in the scoreboard and actually scored it. If anybody's looking at it that close, they've got bigger issues. So you could go to 8 inches and you would have plenty of room. I'm a little short, but again, I don't think anybody's going to notice it. All right, now I'm going to get my Misty out really quick here, and I'm going to take my strip here. This is my white strip. It is about 1 1/8 wide by, I think it's 6 inches long. Personal preference here. Does not have to, there is no particular length that you have to have it. I'm doing the Creeping It Real again. Just gonna push that down. I'm using the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. There is that. I'll set that to the side. And we can get the scoreboard out if you want to on this one. So I don't know, I want to score this one right here. So I'm just going to fold that. That's about 3/4 of an inch in. So it's going to go along the side just like that. And then, oops, I did not let that ink dry. And then this one here, I'm going to kind of see where I've got my crease mark there. That is 1.5 inches. Do be careful because my ink was not dry. I probably should have taken the heat gun to it. And then I know that my side is 3/4 of an inch, so if I want to go 3/4 of an inch again, I'm going to go to 3/4 of an inch to get me my side there. And so now this is going to kind of wrap around the box, but not quite all the way. And that's what I want. I am now going to, before I put it on the box because it's purple, I'm going to take my orange and I'm just going to kind of rub it down each of my corners. Giving it a little bit more in some spots, a little bit less in other spots. Over here and get some longer pieces there. Okay. And then once again, I'm going to take my glue and go all over this little piece here. And then I'm not going to go to the top and I'm not going to go to the bottom. I'm just going to kind of pick a spot here kind of in the center and just push it around. I'm going to move the scoreboard out of the way here. I'm going to do the same thing with my bone folder. I'm just going to turn the box around and press down on the inside to make sure there's good adhesion there. So now, sticking my Tic Tacs in there, there's a little bit of room. But they fit right in. The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup fits right in. Like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of other things, like we've been doing the Snickers bars, things like that. They'll fit in here as well. A couple of them would probably fit in there. And then for the spider, so we're going to put the spider on here as well. We're going to kind of have his hat stick up a little bit and just have his leg, one of his legs kind of come down a little bit. Maybe have it kind of like that. And then just so that his legs would not fall off the edge or get mangled on the edges, I kind of bent them around. You do not have to do that, and I'm not going to on this one. I'm just going to glue a little bit of his leg because it's on the front of the box. Don't really know where it ends up, so I'm just going to glue, and then what I don't need I'll wipe off. And you could use a foam square if you wanted to, or a couple of foam squares on here if you wanted to. And I did not need it all the way up his hat. Grab that, take that off, and then I'm just going to grab a paper towel here really quick to wipe my fingers off a little bit, and then I'm just going to dab because I've got a lot of extra glue on there. But there is the box. And you could put more stuff on here. Back here would be a great place if you were giving them out like as treats at school or something. You could put your child's name on there. Again, you could decorate the purple so that it had more texture to it. If you had some of the ones from previous ones that we did, you could use some of those to decorate it a little bit more. But this box again fits the Tic Tacs, it fits the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and it fits the ones that we've already been doing. I'm sure it would fit other items as well, like if we wanted to put a distress ink, or the Lawn Fawn ones definitely fit better down in there, but if you wanted to give someone a couple of ink pads, they fit down in there. You know, some of the smaller, my twine that I have is bigger, but some of the smaller twine would fit down in there. But So there are the two projects. One is the card here with the spider that kind of hangs around. They could actually cut this spider off, leaving it loose like that. They could cut the spider off and put it on anything else that they wanted to. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you again soon. Oh, and let me show you the Nuvo drops dried, and they're clear, so you can see the back. They just add a little bit of shine to the card there. I think you can see it. See there? Doesn't add a lot of depth. I don't know if you can see the depth at all there, but it adds a little bit of depth. So hope you guys enjoyed. Now get out there and craft something. See you later. Bye.